Hi, and welcome back to the Recruitment and Beyond podcast. Hi, Natalie. How are you?
All good. Yourself?
Yes, glad it's Friday. Glad we've made it to the end of the week again.
Not made it yet, but nearly.
I know. Friday morning. Excellent. Have you had a good week?
yeah. Yeah. Really good week. No, good week this week. Seen some good articles and various new trends that are coming. God, it's keeping on top of it all,
Really?
isn't it?
What sort of things have you been seeing?
Quit talk, right?
Quick
So
talk.
quit
Okay.
talk is where, like, wow, this new phase trend, or will it go on for longer? So we've got, remember those like quiet quitters? So those are the ones that are turning up to work,
Yes.
not wanting to be there. Now, these are the ones that don't want to be there and are telling the world they don't want to be there and
Loud
have maybe
quitters.
loud quitters.
Ah,
So they're standing for what they believe in, and they are telling the world how bad the place that they work for is, and I quit. So been kind of having a look at that this week in terms of people that they're everywhere. So if you do a wee search as well on TikTok, you'll see them all.
yes.
It's
Yes.
like hashtag I quit and all the other hashtags that come along with it. So basically, we could be on a call right now with your line manager, and the line manager's giving feedback, and then they go, "Do you know what? I quit," and it's all been recorded.
Oh,
Or
man.
just the kind of selfie video. I've had enough this week.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm not doing the corporate 9 to 5 anymore. I quit. And
Wow.
naming who they work for and naming the kinds of flaws that's there. So
Oh.
definitely one for
So,
one for workplaces to look out for.
So this is the new Glassdoor, I guess, is it? This is a new way for people to get on there and just talk about the issues that they faced and the challenges that they faced, but doing it in a very public way.
This is a new level of Glassdoor, isn't it? This is like, can you
Oh,
imagine maybe like you're Googling, you're going for an interview, you're Googling and you're doing all your research.
yeah, yeah.
And the Gen Zs do more research than anybody at the moment in terms of the company, the culture, everything. And then up pops hashtag I quit.
My
We
goodness.
Mike there going, I've had enough of this week. Peace out, guys. I quit, and he's gone, and you're like, oh, right, okay. So it's one to watch.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's something, isn't it? You've got to make sure that your culture, the way you talk about your business, actually comes through. Because if it doesn't, it's going to be very public, isn't it? And it's going to be across TikTok before you know it.
Word of warning for the loud quitters as well, though. Like, you'll also be looked at maybe if you're applying for other jobs, and other companies might be too scared to take you on because you'll be hashtagging everything all over TikTok about what you don't believe to be.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's an interesting point. Actually, I never thought about that, but that's really interesting. Are people going to look at this when they're going to bring somebody on? Does it count against them in terms of their new role? That's a really interesting point. Yeah, I never thought of that.
there was a really good one actually, and they filmed their performance over Teams, their performance conversation, put it out there to the world, and then obviously the business owner came back and said, like, lots of learnings from this. Haven't been as open and transparent with you about your performance. I've not really tackled that the best way. Obviously, you shouldn't have recorded me, and that goes into a whole other. We could have a whole other time about covert recording. But there's
Yeah,
definitely lessons learned, and the guys kind of apologised, but obviously not great that you've had to do that. But I'll take this on board as well.
that is actually really good, isn't it? It's being able to deal with these things and be upfront with them. So I guess it's managers and businesses starting to understand how do we deal with these things, because they will be out there. And again, going back to that transparency, being transparent, being open, holding your hands up and saying, listen, yeah, okay, fair enough, we made a mistake there, but we'll own it and we'll take it forward and we'll take learnings from it, which is as much as you can do, isn't it?
Absolutely. So, for all those managers out there having those performance chats next week, be mindful that you might end up on TikTok.
Check your TikTok account. Oh man.
Your conversations, to make sure you get advice on how you're handling these conversations for sure, because
Wow.
you probably don't want to be. I know, massive craze, and
Yeah.
their way of trying to fix the way forward and have that craving that transparency. So,
Wow.
wow, it's been good to read about that this week.
Good.
Yes,
Well, this
so.
week I think we were going to have a chat about understanding the generational differences in teams and in workplaces, and understand how to deal with that. Um, is it something that comes up quite a bit for you guys?
Absolutely. Like our
Really?
work, yeah, there's obviously skills. There's certain generations that are better at certain niches as well.
Sure.
So we have this, and we are craving, and we all know that it is good to have that diversity and that inclusion in terms of all of the different gens, from the baby boomers to our millennials and the Gen Zs and some of their behaviours that we're seeing as well. So
yeah.
absolutely, we need that mix, but there are certain different styles and tactics we're going to have to take with these different generations, which all want dead different things.
And is it that personalization of management? Is it recognizing there's just differences in different generations and how they want to be approached, how they want to tackle certain projects? Is it really for managers is understanding that and really
the lights? You're sorry, I'm not back to fly. The lights. The
lights went off in your office. No, we'll keep that in. It's understanding the differences in these generations and how they want to approach their work. Is that key for a lot of managers?
Yeah, like there's a lot of pressure, isn't there, in managers at the moment? We're like, understand everyone's an individual, but also understand the generations, understand the dynamics. Like there is so much emphasis on people as an individual, but also we do need to be aware of the trends of these generations as well, and maybe just some of the tactics or some of the expectations as well to get the best out of those people. For example, are dead, they're needing that instant feedback. Like they're walking about with their mobile phone in their right hand all times, absolutely all times. They live by their phone, they breathe by their phone. They're going to be interviewing you when you're interviewing them, really. And technology is like, they've grown up with it, they know all about it, they're going to be used to their remote working, and they're going to really crave that diversity. They're going to need to look for that really good pieces of work that they're doing, and there's going to be a big emphasis on mental health for those people as well, and transparency. We're seeing that quick talk that we talked about there. A lot of the individuals then fall into that Gen Z category.
And then I guess just as you pointed out, tailoring your communication styles and your management style to that. So if it is just a quick message through social media, or it's a quick message via Slack, or it's a quick message via WhatsApp, whatever it might be, whereas somebody else might prefer a sit down, let's have a one-to-one, let's have a bit more dialogue here, or even explanation around projects. Is it that sort of thing? Is tailoring your communication to suit the different generations you've got in your work, in your team?
Absolutely, from comms to even like, am I delivering this message just like you said there via social media, or is it face to face? There are going to be certain generations that crave that face to face, that aren't with technology, don't care about technology, that are used to, like the baby boomers, they're going to want that, aren't they? They're going to be all about that, and they will welcome that face to face opportunity as well. And it's less about technology for them.
Yeah, I guess creating that inclusion, though, or creating that inclusive work environment must be quite challenging, if you're a relatively small team, small business, whatever it might be, to kind of deal with all these things. But it's so important you do, because if somebody's feeling disenfranchised, they're gonna cause issues, aren't they? Or they're gonna feel excluded from the organization, I think. And it's important you try and create that inclusive environment, isn't it?
And you're going to kind of stereotype some people as well, and they're going to be They're going to be Gen Z that are not interested in technology. There are going to be baby boomers that are. Like, we need to be careful. Obviously, it's good to know the trends and know the characteristics and know what feedback they want and know what kind of environment they want to work in, or how they work, hybrid home working, office-based, all this. But actually still everyone is an individual. So we might have the different categories and the different boxes, but Ewan is still an individual, although he falls into, well, not guess what category you're in. Although you fall into a certain category, you're still an individual.
Absolutely. And I think how do we train managers to deal with that? I guess is that a training issue? Is it I don't know. How do we go about that? How do we help them to understand that and tailor their approach?
Well, we're getting asked quite a lot at the moment in terms of knowing and understanding your team. So all of your kind of leadership development training that you're doing with your line managers, part of it should be about knowing and managing your team. And that's that's part of that, really. It's all the wee small things that count. Some generations want you to know absolutely everything about them and their family and their dog and how their weekend was. And that's
Yeah,
still part of managing and leading a team as well. So
yeah,
some people aren't, some generations don't bother as much as well. It's all about work's work and personal life's separate. But
yeah,
Gen Z, it's the full encompass of this is me, and everything is about everything and every
yeah,
part of their life as well. So I think training has to form a part, and just even a basic understanding, but not getting too wrapped up in you're Gen X, you're baby boomer, you're this, you're that. You still need to get to know me, Natalie, as a person. We still need to get to know you as a person. Yeah, you might fall into this category, but there will be differences, and people will test that generational difference as well.
yeah. I think that's a really good point you make. Actually, it's actually still about the person, you know.
Yeah,
And actually, you touched on this last week about managers who have found themselves as managers who are potentially not, you know, they're not great people. People,
accidental.
you know, accidental managers. That's
And
right.
the
Yeah,
nicest possible accidental managers, like we can change that though. That's like we can change
absolutely.
that.
But I think that's sometimes that people find themselves in those roles and then can't manage the differences there. And actually, there's a level of acceptance across both generations as well, isn't there? To say, you know, maybe that's not the way it was done in the past, but let's try and learn from the new team members, or let's learn from younger people, or vice versa. The younger team saying, listen, there's still lots of experience here. I really want to learn from you. Can you help me in the way that you do things? And maybe
Oh
we
my
can
God, yeah,
share learnings.
absolutely. It's particularly maybe the tech industries that are everything is done by technology, and then the older generations, the different kind of generation, the baby boomers, the millennials that well, we're okay with technology, but they really could gain lots
Yeah,
from
yeah,
all of these different solutions. Even like if we look at AI, like what generations really are going to be good at AI? We're
yeah,
looking again at the Gen Z. They're grown up with it. They're knowing all about it. But a Gen Z could really help an organisation that don't really know much about AI,
yeah,
know the value of it, don't know how to do it. We'll bring that expert in that happens
yeah,
to be a Gen Z that knows all about it, and
yeah,
bring those, look at how technology can advance your organisation as well, even if you're not interested in it and don't know how to do it. Bring in the people that can collaborate, and we can do, and on collaboration again, what generations are going to want to collaborate and what generations are going to want to do their own thing, what generations it's been brought up that you should collaborate. Like, oh God, it's massive.
So yeah, I mean, a big part of this, I guess, is probably overcoming a lot of fear that people have. So whether you're a generation who's maybe not had technology first, or a generation where technology has always been there, and understanding, you know, different working practices, it's helping people and communicating that as part of your organisation to say, you know, don't worry about this change. We'll help you through this. We'll work with different generations to make sure that you all work together. I think that would probably a big thing there to help people get over a lot of the issues they might have with that.
Absolutely, everyone's got gaps. So the best way in filling that gap is to get the person that knows what they're doing, isn't it? And work
Yeah.
with you. So no matter what generation you are, like there'll be technology gaps, there'll be ambition and drive gaps, there'll be all differences with these generations, but actually the joy is going to be having a mix of these
Yeah.
and then bringing everyone together, and then that has a even bigger focus in
Yeah.
collaboration then, because we can't all do every one of these generations have gaps in
Yeah.
terms of what they can offer an organization or how their thinking is,
Yeah.
but if we get them all together, then the magic will happen then, won't it?
And also helping people to understand the different motivations. I think it's if you're open and honest and you talk about these things, then they're out there and they're being discussed, as opposed to them. There's perceptions people will have. Oh well, I think they think like this, and actually, why don't they think like that? And there's a reason behind all of these things, isn't there? There's a reason behind why people take a certain approach. And if you have that open conversation, you know, everybody then is on the same page. We all understand. We might not agree, and you don't have to agree. You don't have to take on board all the different practices of different generations, but you have to understand, and it's easier to adapt and change from a position of understanding, as opposed to just bury your head in the sand and, you know, they don't like us, so we don't like them. Right,
Yeah,
we're not going to work together.
yeah. And opportunities for growth and everything. Like certainly if you look at kind of millennials, they're all about career advancement. They are all about being valued are. And then you look at Gen Z, which might be a bit different to that in terms of what they're looking for. They can maybe jump about a wee bit more, but they'll do their research and they'll make sure to interview. I mean, they're going to be asking you what you can offer to them. And they will be. That was the generation probably that did invent that whole quiet quitting as well, being disengaged, still just showing up for work until they get the next thing. So those regular check-ins with those people are going to be quite key as well.
And I mean, just lastly on this, you've talked about this before, but future-proofing your workforce, I guess, being mindful of the fact that there are a huge amount of skills in every generation. So what can we bring in and how can we make sure our business is reflective? Because it's got to be reflective of the customers you're serving as well. And presumably not every customer you have is in a certain generation and then, that's it. So you need to bring in these different generations to your workforce, understand that, and then I suppose in a way to try and future-proof that, you want to have that open and honest conversation. It needs to be across your social channels, needs to be across your website, so people understand the business that they're going into. We'll have these conversations, and it'll probably help to attract people who are not all from the same generation. Would that be right?
Oh, that's a whole other minefield, isn't it? That's like from internal, but also the external point in it, like you said there. So knowing your customer profile as well, because your customers are all those different generations. He likes a phone call. He needs instant feedback. She needs it's almost like they're also profiled as well, because you deal with clients and customers in all different ways. Some don't want a phone call, some want a TLC and they want a good in-depth conversation, some want a quick answer, some want to be loved and nurtured, and others just want you when you need you. Like, that's all different generations as well. And you're right, and those generations, your customer, who do they want to be dealing with in terms of generations also?
Exactly. And the interesting thing with this is none of that's wrong. Nobody's wrong in terms of, they're wrong because they want a phone call and they want a text message. None of it's wrong. It's just about being mindful of the fact that these generations out there in our customer base, they need to be reflected in our staff, and we need to be able to work in harmony to try and get the best result. Yeah.
Absolutely. So internal, external, and out.
Excellent. Well, listen, that was a good chat. I enjoyed that, and I'm going to be going and checking TikTok now and having a look at a few of these loud quitters. So hopefully we don't have any here.
Wow.
But wow. It'll be an eye opener, I suspect.
See, absolutely. Though.
Okay, good. Well, thanks very much, and we'll catch you next week. Thanks, Natalie.
Take care. Thanks everyone for listening today. Please get in touch if you want to find out more on today's subject.
And if you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review.